Hi, and welcome to another episode of Scottish Football Matters with me, Lorenzo, and my good friend Murray.
Hiya.
Today, we're going to be discussing the midweek fixtures. After that, we'll touch over the Scotland World Cup draw, as it took place yesterday in America, and we'll touch on the new Celtic manager, Wilfried Nancy, who was announced on Wednesday night. His press conference was yesterday, and we'll discuss over that, and then we'll review the weekend's fixtures and do our predictions. How are you doing, mate?
Yep. Yeah, all good. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I know we'll get on to it, but buzzing about the World Cup draw. But yeah, it's
Same,
exciting times.
same as the World Cup '98, eh?
I know,
Morocco and
almost.
Brazil.
I know. But yeah, if we start with obviously the midweek games, my thoughts were obviously, as you can see from the scores, all very close. I think we got 4 draws and a 1-0 win.
Hmm.
It just shows you it's a bit of a draw fest in the SPL this year. You, I know Celtic and Hearts are obviously 9 points ahead of Motherwell and Rangers, but you just look at it and go, see if Motherwell and Rangers could have turned some of those draws into win. We could
I
have
know.
like a four-way battle. I mean, we really could. If you look at the games that you go, oh, but in actually Rangers' case, it was actually more. I say it was a lucky draw in terms of it was the last minute equaliser, but they actually played better in that match than they've played in most of their wins.
Mhm.
But if we talk on, obviously, we'll start with Celtics. I think that was the only winner. I thought Celtic were good without being great. Um,
Yeah.
Obviously, they got the goal. I've only seen the sort of highlights, but it never really felt like they really pushed on or came out of the lower gears.
Hmm.
But they never really looked like drawing the game either. There's a wee spell, maybe 5 minutes to go, but that always happens
Yeah,
when
that's
you're
right.
see when there's one goal, you just kind of go,
Hmm.
oh, wait a minute, this is still
Aye.
1-0. Uh, but I never really felt that Dundee were going to get the point. But I think at the end of the day, it was very similar to some games I've seen with Rangers and Celtic this year where they did enough. And you can't begrudge Celtic the win, but at the same time, when the challenges go up, they need to play a bit better.
One's a win
Um,
at the end of the day.
yeah, exactly. I mean,
And what
because
I
you would
will
act,
say,
you would. No, sorry, there you go.
sorry, what I was going to say, I was going to touch on the Maeda incident. I actually thought that was a free kick to Celtic, and the goalkeeper handled the ball out the box. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it looked like it. I have to say, it was close. It was one of those ones where you go, oh. But yeah, I think. But honestly, I think we could do a separate podcast on refereeing and
Hmm.
not terrible. I don't want to say terrible refereeing, but just terribly inconsistent refereeing. I'm sure we'll
Yeah.
touch on it in the Rangers game where
Hmm.
there's things are penalties, things aren't penalties, and then you're looking at other examples from previous weeks where something similar is the complete reverse,
Yeah.
and you're just like, I can't really get my head round where we're at with handballs and
It's a
where
lottery.
sometimes where we're at with like minimal contact. But we continue with Celtic. I think they deserved the win. Dundee, played okay.
Yeah.
They're not expect. I know they beat Celtic early in the season, but they're never expected to get it in the Parkhead. But
I know.
I think with them, they need to start getting better results against the Livingston, the Kilmarnock, that sort of level, because
Hmm.
you fear for them if
Yeah.
like Livingston as well, if they don't start picking up wins against the teams around them. But I've not been unimpressed with Dundee this year, but I've not been impressed either, if you get what I mean. Like, I,
Yeah.
I don't think they've been terrible, but they do look like the least likely team to score goals in the league. Maybe
Yeah.
close with Livingston, but and to be honest, maybe Kilmarnock as well, actually, in that regard. But
Hmm.
fair play. I think Celtic won the game. It was
Yeah.
relatively comfortable without being great.
Hmm. And a
So
good
if we
send off
move
for
on
Martin
to
O'Neill.
yeah, and obviously that's him gone now, and
Yeah.
I think I actually think that might be a negative thing, but we'll come to that later. But I think game of the weekend in midweek. Sorry, keep saying weekend, but the game of the midweek was definitely Aberdeen St Mirren. That was a belter.
Yeah, yeah.
Some nice goals. I have to say a draw was about fair, but
Aberdeen
I
should have won it. They probably were unlucky.
I don't know. I thought St Mirren were unlucky. If you know what I mean,
Well,
there was a
well,
lot.
Aberdeen were leading at
Yeah,
one point. Is it
no, they
3-2?
were,
Was it?
but yeah, but I felt like over the balance of play, I thought St Mirren did more than enough to get a point.
Yeah, probably.
And
But
I, I actually think they're going to be very competitive next week against yourselves in that cup final. I think there's something about St Mirren. They look gritty.
I'm not looking
And
forward to
that's
it.
a good example. In 98th minute, they find a way not to lose, which is
Uh,
it's commendable.
My
I know
my
they
question,
find a way to lose against you somehow,
but
but
my question to that would be, where did the 8 minutes come from? What's all that about?
there's always VAR. It's like
Uh,
injuries, head injuries. There's so much in football nowadays. But fair play, and that boy King looks a decent player. The guy that scored the equaliser. Every time I've seen him, Richard King, I thought he looks a wee bit Marvin Andrewsy.
mm,
That he seems good in the air, but you can tell there's an error in him. But for St Mirren's level, I think he's a good player, and I think he plays for Jamaica, doesn't he? And he'll be going to the World Cup, and there's lots of players in the SPL that'll be going to the World Cup. But I think Aberdeen have definitely turned a corner in terms of performance. But I
yeah.
still don't think they're maybe not getting again like the rest of the league. There's too many draws and not
Mhm.
enough wins, and you actually look at it on paper and go, oh, they're actually doing okay. Like you see
But
a lot of teams like, oh, they're only got one defeat in six, but
yeah,
see if four of them are draws, you're still like, it's only one win in six, and it's a very confused league, I think, at this point. But I think overall, I thought a draw was a fair result in that one.
yeah. Well, aye, but I'm wondering myself, will Aberdeen finish in the top six the way they're playing?
I don't think so, because right
Uh,
now I think that Hearts, Rangers, Celtic, Hibs, Motherwell, Falkirk look more likely to pick up wins
at the minute.
than
Hmm.
draws. I would say, like, unless one of them went on an Aberdeen-like run where they
Aye.
started to lose a lot of games.
Hmm.
But I look at those teams and I think they look the six best attacking teams in the league,
They
and
do
it's
it.
not
They do it at the
not to
minute.
be
Yeah.
harsh on the teams below. There is flaws in them. I mean, we know
Hmm.
that, and there's lots of flaws and draws. But I do think that they're definitely the most the six teams. I think there's going to be quite a gap. I think between the six and the rest this year. I really do.
Mm. Yeah.
But if we move on to, I think Falkirk Motherwell, it was a 0-0, just like
Grab.
Falkirk got at Ibrox as well. But I feel I feel both of them are going through the motions at the minute. But I think that's a good sign though that they're not losing games when they're not playing well. And
Hmm.
I think that for me is more of a reason why I think they're going to be top six, the two of them,
Right.
because when they're not playing well, they're not losing, and that can only be
Yeah.
a good thing. And
Aye.
because you know that Motherwell are going to go on a run of winning 3 or 4 games in a row, you know that Falkirk's home form is pretty good.
Hmm.
They're going to pick up wins, and I just think the two of them look. And I don't want to be harsh because Motherwell are on the same points as Rangers, but I feel they two look like they're going to finish fifth and sixth, probably in the order of Motherwell, Falkirk. But I think they're going to be quite comfortable. I really
Yeah.
do. I think if Hibs were better defensively, I think they could challenge Rangers for third or second. But I think they just too many defend. Like you seen them at Motherwell the other week, where they just too many Hanley,
Well,
just in Bashiri. They just
Hanley
there's
again.
always errors in them. But I think yeah, Falkirk Motherwell draw was fair.
I'd say so. I
Uh,
mean, it didn't really look like any of them were going to score at any point. So,
no, let's speak about the next draw. We'll go with Hearts against Kilmarnock, and this is the game I've probably seen the least of because I was away on a work trip this week, but I caught the goals more than the highlights on this one, and
mhm.
all I can say on it is obviously, you know, Hearts will look at it as 2 points dropped
Yeah,
when
the
you
goal
lose a
that
late goal.
Kilmarnock got, you'd
But
say the goalkeeper spilled it.
yeah, but Bruce Anderson's he is a good SPL striker, and
Mhm.
if you give him chances, he's definitely a 10 to 15 goal striker. Um, so I think he'll be the reason that Kilmarnock don't go down, if I'm honest.
Hmm.
And Watson, because I think he's a very good player. But
If
I
Watson
think
stays there,
Kilmarnock, well, I think he'll stay the whole season because he's out of contract, and I don't see them cashing in as such because how much they're going to get, because they're going to get a
Like,
development fee anyway.
aye.
For do you know what I mean? So,
Mm-hmm.
and they will, for me, they are almost nailed on to finish 10th. I think they're better than Livingston and Dundee, but I don't think they're as good as like the St Mirren sort of level that's I think above them.
Aye, well,
But
I'd agree with
St
you.
Mirren, Dundee United, I think they've got more wins than them than Kilmarnock.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I don't really got a lot to say about that game. I know it sounds bad, but Hearts are on a run. Again, I'm going to give them a compliment though. They're on a bad run, but they're not losing football matches. They've only lost
No.
one this season. And Rangers are actually quite similar to Hearts in that there's something to take from not losing games of football,
Mm-hmm.
but also you could look at it three ways. Sorry, three ways. I'm talking about. You can look at it two ways, right? You could have 3 games that you draw 3 games and you get 3 points, or you could
Mm-hmm.
have, or sorry, let's say 4. You have 4 games that you draw 4 games, right? And you get 4 points. But you could have 4 games where you win 2 and lose 2, and you're getting 6 points.
Yeah.
So
What would you rather?
draws sound. I would rather have 6 points because it's more points.
Of course.
But I can see why not losing is a good thing. But there's a lot of
But
teams that I think are gonna look back on this season
I think
with a lot of regret.
their bubble has busting, and I think they're cracking under the pressure a bit. They're feeling it.
A wee bit, but I will get to the predictions, but you wouldn't be massively surprised if they got a point on Sunday because they do have an ability to
Just
not
depends
lose
on
games.
just
Yeah,
depends on what Celtic turns
yeah.
up.
But I think there's definitely a bit of a bubble burst. But I mean, I looked at it obviously after Rangers drawing, and I seen that Hearts had drew it, and I went, do you know what? We've not lost any ground,
No, but what
and
I will
that's not
say
a
is,
bad thing because
mhm,
Rangers need to look at Hearts as the next one to catch.
aye, what I will say is Hearts are obviously they're drawing games, but there is a few in there I've felt that they should have lost and they didn't. They'll be lucky.
But that's commendable to them though for
Well,
finding a
aye, fair
way
enough,
not to
but
lose.
you know they've
So I
been
don't think
jammy.
they're going to go on an Aberdeen slump like last year.
Hmm.
I think they will stay that. Like even going into the split, I think they'll be in a title race, but maybe
Right,
like 10 points back. But they'll still be like, oh, they could still win it if everything collapses. But I don't think they're going to win the league. I never did. I think they'll finish third. But I do
right.
think that it's there is something in the fact that they're picking up draws. I think you need to give them credit.
Aye.
But let's speak about another draw specialist, Rangers against Dundee United. As I said, I sort of briefly touched on. I thought Rangers were really good attacking. I thought we were. Do you know what? See, on another day, Rangers won that game very comfortably. But Dundee United scored 2 very good goals, and sometimes you need to go.
Aye.
They were good
Roger,
goals.
aye,
I
they
mean,
were.
that finish. I mean, Magoma does get a wee bit poor defending for the first goal, but the finish is sublime. It really
Aye,
is.
the
I mean,
chip was a good
I
chip.
don't think any keeper saving that. That's a brilliant finish, right? And the second goal, yeah, you could always say he goes through too many players, but his finish is incredible.
Hmm.
Again, you can't blame the goalie. And what you need to say is sometimes in football, teams score good goals, and you have
Yep.
to go fair play. And I felt Dundee United done that earlier in the season against us. Do
Hmm.
you remember the game?
Hmm.
It was right after my wedding, where they
Aye.
scored a couple of belters at Ibrox as well, and you went, Jesus, Dundee United have scored 4 goals against us this season, and they've all been belters. You
Sybil's
need to
one was a
just go.
cracker. Yeah.
You need to just sometimes go. Fair enough.
Mhm.
But I actually seen
McGomas,
signs. McGomas was probably goal of the
McGomas,
weekend.
that
It's
was a
a
good goal.
peach.
Yeah, McGomas goal
Um,
was a good one.
and if we talk about the penalties, I've actually got a weird view on this one, right? Because I know some people think the Fernandez one's a penalty. I don't. But I did think the one against Livingston was 2 weeks ago because his hands were out. This one, his
Right,
hands by his side. But by the way,
right.
it's no it's no less of a penalty than the one that Scales got against him the other week.
I was just about to say that.
That's how that's how bad football is. That you're
Hmm.
getting penalties for things
It's
like that.
inconsistent, but you're not getting them for the same sort of I mean, the that incident with Fernandez twice went it that's handballed
Yeah,
it in the two
yeah,
games.
yeah.
I don't think there's much difference between the two handballs that he makes. So
His arm's out in the first one. His arm goes
I
towards the
get that,
ball in the
but
first one.
they're
The
kind of
second one,
similar.
the ball drops and his hands are by his side. He doesn't do anything wrong. His body
No,
position is,
but
but Scales didn't do anything wrong. The
no.
problem is that you're getting penalties that aren't penalties, and then you get something that people go, well, that's the same as the one that you got, but it's still wrong. Like, do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's like I think that isn't a penalty. I think that's the correct decision, but when you compare it against other decisions where penalties are getting given, you're almost like, well, they got one, and it's the same, and it's just turned terrible because I think we can all agree that Fernandes doesn't do anything wrong. It's not a penalty, but plenty of other players have done the same thing,
And there's been a
and it
penalty
is a
given.
penalty.
So
Look,
that's where
look
the
at even look
inconsistency
at the one,
comes.
look at the one where Celtic got one at Kilmarnock in the last minute. It's not a penalty, but it happens, and then you've seen similar incidents, and they're going, oh, well, is it? Is it not? No, it's just terrible. It's just
But as
terrible
soon
and
as it goes to
inconsistent. And then
VAR, and the referee goes to the monitor, you know he's going to give the penalty right away. You know it.
I felt the Rangers, and this is where you're probably going to laugh at my opinion. I I think the Rangers penalty is soft,
I don't think it's
but
a penalty either.
see, but I actually thought the one on Gassama earlier in the game was a penalty, and he get booked for diving. But he gets he's running at pace and he gets his legs clipped.
Yeah.
There's more contact on Gassama than there was on Max Ernst. By the way, Max Ernst doesn't dive. He gets
No,
to
he
the
does.
ball
He doesn't
first, but
dive. He doesn't dive. But
there's not a great
no.
deal of contact.
So I
But
don't think it's
I
a
think
penalty.
I think if you watch the Gassama one, where you've all seen this, where a player runs at pace and somebody makes contact against a player going that fast, that is not a dive. It was more of a penalty than the one we got. But I do think that if we're penalties aside, I think Rangers more than merited a point. I thought they were very good at times going forward. And if they didn't have an absolute lump of shite up front in Chamiti,
Mm-hmm.
they
Well, that
Rangers,
chance, that header, what was that all
it's
about?
terrible. Absolutely terrible. See if Rangers had a good number 9, I think we'd be in a title race. I believe that. I don't think we are yet, but
Possibly.
that can be rectified in January, and it has to be rectified because Rangers are too good in other areas to have a number 9 constantly let us down.
Well, yeah.
But
But,
I think credit to Dundee United, they scored a couple of belters, and I think a draw is about fair. But
well, you say that. I thought they were very lucky to get the penalty in the very last second of the game.
but they played good football
I'm
though,
not saying
and
they
you
didn't.
would
They
look
played
at the
well. And they played
chances,
well. They
and
played
I
well.
do, but against that penalty though, I think they should have got a penalty earlier in the game. So I do think
Oh.
it balances out because. But by the way, how Gusama get booked for diving is just it's honestly ridiculous. By the way, he has dived this season. I've seen it, but that one in particular, there's contact. It's in the box. Then to get a penalty that's softer late in the game just almost makes a mockery because you go, well, how did he dive? Apparently, dive on more contact, and then a guy gets less contact, and you're like, what's a penalty? You're like, well,
Aye.
so what about Gassama? And he doesn't get that booking back. But no, I think on the balance of play, Rangers more than merited the draw.
Yeah.
And I'd say this is maybe only the second time under Danny Rule where I've seen a style. Now, if he can get the right players, because it's not right, obviously, the right players to fit that, I think he can be a successful manager.
We'll
I'm
see.
sure I'm more confident of that now. But the big question is, can Rangers get the recruitment right? And I think that's a massive question. But if we move on to the Scotland draw, I think that's in the World Cup draw in general. Can I just say that was the most convoluted 2 hours of my bloody life that I ain't getting back.
You're like, what is this all about? I mean,
Why did we have a Mexican draw in Mexico out of group, Trump draw in America when we knew what groups they were in? Let's
exactly.
just say they're in that group. Just let's
What
get on with it.
what annoyed me
Had
is that
Rio
they drew them
Ferdinand
out
talking to
and then they
kids.
took a break. They took a break for about half an hour with music and all that, and you think, just get on with the draw.
And who okayed Nicole Scherzinger and Robbie Williams singing a song together?
Ah,
She's good, but he's guff now.
he's aye,
I mean, he
aye.
was guff back then, but at least some of his songs were decent. He was never good at singing, but
No,
Jesus, if the song ain't good, it's painful. But
aye.
no, I think if we talk about, I think the best way to start is Scotland, right?
Right,
Because
13th of June, it's off.
I look at it right, and I think, see, when I was seeing the draw, I was like, oh, I don't want the Brazil Morocco group, right? I don't want it. And then we got it.
I knew we were getting it. I knew we were getting it. I knew it.
But when we got Haiti, I got a wee bit of glimmer of hope because we needed a fourth seed that we could beat.
Well, we're playing them first as well, so
Exactly, I'll get to that. We've got a glamour tie, we've got a
aye.
winnable tie, and we've got a tie where will be underdogs, but not massive underdogs. Do you agree? I think
Aye,
that's
well,
probably the way to
what
look
I
at it.
like about the draw, the way the games are panning out. We're playing Brazil last, so by that point,
It
Brazil will
could
be
be good,
through. You'd imagine,
especially if Brazil beat Morocco in the first game and we beat Haiti. It opens
right?
up for us
Aye, of course.
because
Aye,
there's then just an opportunity. You just need 1 point for the next
aye.
two games to go through,
Hopefully, we can get that
and it's
against Morocco.
but even if you don't, if Brazil have 6, they might be quite content with a draw in the last game because they'll top the group on 7.
I don't know. Will they? Will they
They,
know what to
they
win all their
could.
games?
No, because I think Brazil are always the sort of team that just go, it's about finishing first. And if
Well, let's
seven
hope they
points
do
in,
win their first two
and what I
games,
would
and then
say
when they
is,
play us,
who's their manager? An Italian, Ancelotti, right?
oh, so it is
So,
Brazil. Aye,
so is Ancelotti not the sort of manager that goes, I don't care about 9 points, I care about first place, 7 points, boom. By the way,
aye,
that
maybe.
could all go up in the air if Scotland don't beat Haiti or Brazil don't beat Morocco, because
Hmm.
Morocco are a good team. They've got good individuals, but I think it's a good time to get them. I'm going to say this, and it might sound wild, right? But see, because they finished like semi-finals last time, I think the expectation on them are going to be a lot higher. Whereas before, no one really. It was a bit of an underdog story.
Aye,
So see, when they started going to games as favourites, that might be they might not deal with that very well.
yeah. So does that
Is
mean the
what I would
World Cup
say.
kicks off on the 12th of June? So
12th of June,
we're
I
the
think
second
it's.
day.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be. I've not seen the times yet, but I know that the weekends you've got like a 5 p.m., 8 p.m.
Surely the Haiti game will be on at a decent
Yeah,
time.
1 a.m. So I think the Haiti game, because it'll probably be the shittest game in terms of, because if you've got some bigger games on, it might be 5 or 8, and that's what we hope for on a
Well,
Saturday.
hopefully, aye, that would be good.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and then I think the next one's a Friday, which is probably like to be night time. So it's
Yeah.
going to be like 8, 11, or 1 in the morning. But we'll
Hmm.
deal with whatever one you get, which is all right on a Friday though, because it's a Friday.
That's right.
The
Aye.
Wednesday one's going to be more of an issue. The third game against Brazil, you're like, oh, I hope it's 8. I hope it's 8 because you don't really want to be staying up till 4 a.m. if you've got work the next day.
That's what I hear about these World Cups over the other side of the world. I know they've got to happen, but I just
Yeah,
hate it. I don't
everyone
like it.
deserves their chance. But
I know.
I think in general, though, there was a couple of groups that stood out. I think was there a group with, oh, Jesus, was it? There was one with Norway, Senegal. That was a really
Hmm.
tricky. Oh, Jesus, I might need to have a look
And what
because
about England's
my
group?
mind.
That's another easy group for them.
Yeah, I mean Croatia are a decent team, but Panama are
Out with
terrible.
Croatia. Out with Croatia. I
But
mean,
I do think Ghana was a tough 4 seed because they could have got teams like Haiti or do you know what I mean? They could have got Panama and Haiti.
mhm.
But I do think that it was maybe Ghana. African teams are tough.
I
So
never actually
yeah,
caught.
so
Who did they see
right, I'm
now?
just going to go
The
through the
playoffs.
groups. So
But
what's
the
that?
playoffs haven't taken place yet. So, but
No, no.
did they draw out what one of the teams if they win? What group they'll be in? I didn't
Yeah, yeah,
catch
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. So
Right.
I'll tell you right. So Group A is Mexico,
Hmm.
South Africa, South Korea, and the UEFA Playoff D. And Playoff
Right.
D is the one that is Playoff D is the one that's Republic of Ireland,
Right.
Denmark,
Hmm.
Czech Republic, or there was another one, Kosovo. So
Kosovo.
it's
Right.
one of those four, right? So I think it'll
Right.
probably be Denmark or Czech, right?
Yeah.
Or Republic of Ireland could do it, by the way.
It would be
They're,
nice
they're
if it
on
was
form.
Ireland.
They're on form.
I'd like it. I would like it to be Ireland.
Group B is Canada, excuse me, Qatar, Switzerland, and Playoff A. And Playoff A is the one with Italy, Wales, Bosnia, and Northern Ireland. So
Right.
Italy or Wales or Northern Ireland, if they get through, would be in a group with Canada, Qatar, and Switzerland. So I think they'd be happy
I
with
would
that.
think Italy would be happy with that if they
I
got
think
through.
Wales would be too.
I'm saying
I
we.
think
I
Wales.
support Italy as well.
I think Wales. I think if Wales got through, they'd be just as happy as well because I think they'd be comfortable with playing Qatar and Switzerland and
I hope
Canada.
Italy. I hope Italy can get through that.
Group C, we've touched on obviously Brazil, Morocco, Haiti, Scotland. Group D, you've got USA, Paraguay, Australia, and Playoff C, which, without being disparaging, is likely to be Turkey. I'm not dismissing
Right.
Slovakia or that chances, but it's going to be Turkey. Right, Turkey are the
More than
strongest by
likely.
a
More
mile
than likely.
in that one. Group E is Germany, Curacao, Ecuador, and Ivory Coast. Now that sounds easy, right? But Ivory Coast have got some good players, and Ecuador's got some good players like
Who's
Caicedo and that. So
who's the other team?
Curacao,
Never heard of them.
Curacao, it's a wee island over sort of not too far from like Jamaica. There's a
You've
lot
got
of I think there's a lot of Dutch players play for them in the team.
right.
Maybe not as good, but there's like an
Then go finish
area
Bolton.
that's quite a yeah. Group F is Holland, Japan, Tunisia, and playoff B. And I think playoff B is likely to be Sweden, Ukraine, or Poland.
Mhm.
Or I think
That's my
Albania's still in there,
that'll
but
be that'll be my header against Tunisia.
yep, and obviously
Mhm.
Holland as well with good players like obviously Van Dijk and stuff. But
Aye.
I think I kind of think it's going to be Ukraine, but I wouldn't rule out Sweden because you know that if Isak and Gyökeres, the two big strikers, if they can hit form,
Mhm.
they're good. But their manager's that div, Graham Potter, so that's probably unlikely to happen. Right, Group G, I thought is pretty obvious. Belgium and Egypt are going through because Iran and New Zealand aren't very good. No
Yeah, I'd say
disrespect,
that.
but
I'd say that.
that's
100%.
that's a clear cut.
Yeah.
Group H again, Spain and Uruguay are going through because Cape Verde and Saudi Arabia are not at that level.
Mm.
Uh, Group I, France, Senegal. This is the FIFA playoff too, so this is the one where like I think is this
Correct
yeah,
me if
this
I'm
is the
wrong.
one with
Correct.
Democratic Republic of Congo probably.
Right. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that France
Senegal
beat
2002.
Senegal in
Yeah.
2002 World Cup in the group. I know. Aye, that's right. So
But
there's another one.
see adding Norway into that.
Mm.
Oh, it can't be Congo because Congo can't be in with Senegal. Oh, it's going to be Iraq. Sorry, never mind. It's going to be Iraq who are going to be. I mean, how many is Haaland going to get against them? Never mind Norway.
Who
How many is
knows? Who
Haaland going to
knows?
get?
Aye.
France, Senegal, Norway. Right. Honestly, that could be. I don't know who finishes first, second, and third, but I think they all pump Iraq. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
that sounded warlike, didn't it?
How did Iraq get there? Did they pay somebody else?
Group J, well, they've not qualified yet, so they're probably still waiting on the payment. Argentina, Algeria, Austria, and Jordan.
Well,
I know I
Argentina
should say
top of the group right
Argentina.
away.
I know I should say Austria, but I think Algeria might cause some issues. Just with, I think they'll be used to the shitty pitches that you're probably going
Hmm.
to get and bobbly pitches in America, and
Yeah.
I think that might suit them more than Austria, but I might be wrong. The second last group is Portugal, Democratic Republic of Congo, probably, Uzbekistan, and Colombia. So you can't really see past Portugal and Colombia.
Colombia. Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah.
Yep. And then the last group we've touched on is England, Croatia, Ghana, and Panama. Panama are going to be absolute cannon fodder
It'll
for
be England
everyone.
in a toss between Croatia and Ghana to get through.
Yeah,
I'd
I
probably I'd
fancy
probably tip
Croatia.
Croatia.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think it's a good draw. I think it's
Aye.
exciting.
Well,
It's always more exciting if your own country's in it. But yeah, it's something to look forward to. And
thankfully we're not playing
as you
Brazil
said,
first.
yeah, as you said though, the playing Haiti first gives us a good chance to get off to a winning start and
Aye. Hopefully.
that positivity of the. And I'm back for Salou on the Friday, I think, and then the Saturday's the Scotland game, so I'm
Mm,
buzzing.
mm.
But yeah, so if we touch on obviously before we do the weekend predictions, we touch on obviously Celtic obviously announced
Wilfried. Wilfried Nancy.
Nancy.
Yeah.
Yes, so
That's how you
it's
say it. You don't
no,
say Nancy, it's Nancy.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's
Yeah, like,
Nancy Nancy.
I
Uh,
watched his press
uh,
conference and I thought he spoke quite well.
yeah, I mean he did, but you know Danny Rule spoke well. Russell Martin even spoke well.
I know it's
The
all right
proof
talking
is
the
in
talk. You need to walk
the
the walk.
proof is in the pudding. Aye.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
what I would say though is that it's a very strange scenario when you're coming into a team who's on a winning run.
Mm.
It's a strange scenario when you're coming into a team that's in a title race. It's not normal.
It's
Um,
not normal. No.
but what I would say is he's going to have to deal with still a lot of Celtic's on off field issues.
Yep.
Will he bring the fans closer together? Maybe. Will he be backed in January, which brings some of the fans back on board?
It should
Maybe.
be. Should be.
But right now, I think he's got a horrible job up until January.
Well,
And
what I,
I know it's only 3 weeks, right? But the
mhm.
amount of games that you fit in that period is ludicrous, as we all know.
Right,
You're
yeah,
going to
it's
need to go
crazy.
to Hearts, play a cup final, play an old firm game. You need to go to Motherwell and
Roma.
Livingston over
We've got Roma
Christmas,
as well
another
coming
European
up.
game. That's mental. And
Aye.
if that doesn't go well, it could be. I mean, because let's be honest, I don't think anyone expects Celtic to win all those games, right? I
Well,
don't think. You know,
What I'm going
they're
to say
gonna
is, Murray,
they're gonna pick up draws.
I'm happier that he's coming in now at this stage than if he'd come in straight after Brendan Rodgers was away, because we were 8, 9 points behind Hearts at that point. We're in a far better position now than what we were back then.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be an adaptability, because if you've seen Man United under Ruben Amorim, that 3-4-3 formation is great
He's
when
not
it
going to do that
works.
right away. He did say that he's going to integrate it in eventually, but he's not going to change too much at the beginning. He's going
I don't,
to
I
what's
don't
the
think he's
word he
got the players
used?
for it.
I know I don't think that's so either, but he used this word that he's going to fade it in over
Yeah,
time.
and if we could bring back the winter break, that would be ideal for him to use that time, but it just
I don't
doesn't
think we can
happen.
get
And
the winter break because of the European games now. We've got another European game in January. That's kind of
it's
knackered that.
but what you would say though in a World Cup year, when does he get it in? Because there's
Aye.
not going to have a pre-season like you would normally have.
hmm
Qualifiers start
We'll
earlier
get the
than ever.
qualifiers as well. That's right.
Um, it's not going to be easy. And what I
Need
would
to get the
say is,
players in. Need to get the players in.
from speaking as a Rangers point of view, whatever Russell Martin tried to phase in didn't fucking work. So
No.
what we always say in Glasgow
Then-
is win first and then philosophy later.
But what I'll say is, if it's no
We'll
broke,
see.
you don't need to fix it. And we're winning at the minute, so there might maybe tweak it a wee bit, but no too
Yeah,
much.
but also you need to factor in that maybe some of those players were playing for Martin O'Neill because he has that legendary aura.
Aye.
I'm not saying that they're going to go back to being the shit versions that they were under Brendan Rodgers, but it might. Football players are I mean, they should all be studied by psychologists because they're absolutely mental. They do what they want when they want.
I bloody hope
Do
no.
you know what I
But I hope no.
mean?
I hope they don't go back into their shell again and start no trying. For
If
want
you
of a better phrase.
look at the difference in Yang, right? That's a good example, right? Under Brendan Rodgers, he didn't look like a footballer.
hmm
Martin O'Neill gives him a bit of confidence, gives him a few starts, and he looks like a great player.
I
Now,
don't
what
think Engels
happens if
looked good under Brendan Rodgers either, and he looked good under O'Neill.
Engels I still don't think he's like that good on anyone really. But I think Hattati is another one that's levels went up remarkably. But maybe he looked at Martin O'Neill and players like Callum McGregor and that have a word with him and go, "This guy's the real deal." And when he talks, you listen type thing.
Mhm. Aye.
Is McGregor going to do that now? And I'm not saying he wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? But
Aye.
it's different. It's different, and I reckon, as you said, but when what I would say is when Gerrard was at Rangers, I think a lot of the players shut up and listened because he had an aura. Not in the same. I'm not comparing him and Martin O'Neill, but what I'm going to compare is that sort of being able to go the extra yard, run the
Mhm.
extra bit you can, and I felt that. I mean, I certainly watched my own team not try their arse under Russell Martin, and if he and I won't say not saying Nancy's going to do this, but if he overcomplicated it, we've seen how disastrous it can be.
Of course.
But
Aye.
we've also seen that, like, because even I'll give you a good example. This is quite similar to when Van Bronckhorst came in at Rangers. Now Rangers were top of the league and looking quite good, but Van Bronckhorst tried to implement a possession-based game, but Gerrard didn't really have that before. It was more, you know, energy, high press, whereas with Van Bronckhorst it was no energy and a possession-based thing, and it really didn't work
Yeah.
against. It worked in Europe, as we all seen. We've seen all the
hmm
results in that, but it didn't work at home to Dundee. It didn't work away to St Johnstone
Yeah.
because we were just pissing about at the back. Trying to move the ball was slow. And what I would say is, even though a good person and a good manager, and he certainly had respect, I think if you try and tweak it too much, I think what he should have done at that point, and I'm sure he'd say the same, is leave it the way it was.
Yeah.
Because the way that Gerrard team played wasn't great football. I'm not going to even contest that.
Mm.
But Rangers always outworked and their energy levels they were fitter.
hmm
But then, when we tried to tweak it, everything went to shit. And at the same time, Ange Postecoglou's on the other side of the city, building something that looked shit at the start, but it was just gradually getting better and better and better. And I'm not comparing Rule, but I think he needs to watch out because I think Danny Rule will build something. Maybe not this season,
Yeah.
but you can see comparisons. That's all I'm going to say is you can
I
see
just
that.
hope that it, it works out, and obviously he can implement his style over a period of time. Not right away, because I don't want it changed right away. Because as I said, if it's no broke, you don't fix it.
Yep. I
Um,
think we need to quickly batter onto our predictions, right? Celtic Hearts. Just quick score prediction.
Celtic 2, Hearts 1.
I'm gonna go 1-1.
Okay.
Damn, I'm gonna repeat myself. So I think I'm gonna go Kilmarnock Rangers. I'm gonna go 1-2, but only because Rangers always seem to beat Kelly 2-1.
I'll go 1-1.
Dundee Aberdeen. Do you know? I'm really tempted to go draw again. I'm gonna go
Aberdeen.
1-1.
No, Aberdeen, I think I'll win 2-0.
Oh, probably the game of the weekend. Actually, I know Celtic that will be, but in terms of the most entertaining game, Hibs Falkirk. I think that's a
Right.
belter.
Uh,
But I'm gonna go 3-2 Hibs. I think
I'll go 3. I'll go 3-1 Hibs. Yeah.
Motherwell Livy. This is a confusing one because Motherwell should win, but Livy have picked up the odd point. I'm gonna say 2-1 Motherwell. I think they'll be close, but not enough.
I actually think that'll be a high scoring game for Motherwell. I think they'll win 3-0. Just because of the predicament that Livy are in.
The
The
last one
last
is a
one.
difficult one because it's Dundee United, and I often find that when a team's got a cup final coming up, maybe they take their eyes off the league game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say that happens. I'm going to say St Mirren 1, Dundee United 2.
I wouldn't
But by the
disagree
way,
with
I
you.
think St Mirren are better.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think sometimes when you've got that week before a cup final, maybe you don't go in for that
Yeah.
50-50.
I'll go 2-1 Dundee United as well on
Yeah.
that one.
But it's mad, isn't it, how we just feel that all these games are close, and they
Mm-hmm.
probably will be.
It's because they have been. It's because they've been close right throughout the season so far. So yeah.
And that's we should rename it the Scottish Draw Division. The Scottish Premiership of Draws. But no, we'll leave it there and we'll reconvene on Monday and we can chat through all of that. And then I think there's European games next week, aren't there?
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
I hope we take kids over there. I really do. I wouldn't even bother taking our top team.
Well,
Well, take Chamiti and leave them over there. Right. 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 We'll leave it there. Right.
right. Cool.
Right.
Right.
Cool.
Right. Thanks again, mate. See you later.
Right, bye. Bye.
Bye.